Hey YouTube, it's Edition 34, and new format is just around the corner, and I'm about to bring you a whole bunch of decks for it. But in the meantime, I actually had a traditional tournament at my local this last weekend, and I threw together a Lightsworn Twilight-y kind of build for it. I don't have everything to make it the ideal build, but it was a lot of fun, and it was so much fun I figured I'd post the deck. So if you have a traditional near you, this gives you something maybe to build off of, or just to go, that's a cool deck. Let's reminisce, let's nostalgia a little bit here, shall we? Alright. I decided to go with the full 2 judges, because if you're going to do this, let's do it right. Lila. She's actually quite effective in this format to go ahead and switch and pop and stuff like that. She's really underestimated in all formats. Aaron. Also quite good for this format where you can spin Sangan Witch and stuff like that. Lumina. And Arcus. I picked Arcus mainly because if you have to play him, there's a lot of stuff that does like to target face-up stuff like Snatch, Steal, Change of Heart and whatnot, and he blocks all that, so he can be a cool choice if the circumstances are right, and he does still mill for 2, so that's why he made the cut. I'm running a full 3 copies of Wolf because he's good to pitch and he's good to reanimate from the grave various ways, so there's that. And because special summoning is no problem and you do like to blow away your opponent's field, there are 2 copies of Celestia. Alright, that's actually it for the Lightsworns right there. Card that's definitely good to mill, Demok. Plague Spreader Zombie, another good mill target. And Necrogardna. And of course, those cards also like Graceful Charity. One of my favorite kill cards for traditional, and I do miss the days when he was in advanced, although I realize why he had to go. Cyberstein, love this guy. Easily a kill all by himself. Awesome card. Awesome, awesome card. Chaos Emperor Dragon, because if you're going to blow the field, blow it for a good reason. Caius, he seems like an advanced only card, but actually this card did me some amazing credit. Your normal summon doesn't always even get used in this format, but he is an excellent, excellent way to do some good removal. You'd be surprised how often this guy makes a difference. Just straight up gets rid of it. Don't be afraid to spend him on a set monster as well as on a big synchro or a big monster like Demok or something. Gores, this guy will save you more often than you think. And this last edition was kind of unusual, but I just wanted to try it, and didn't do wrong by me. Effect Veiler, he's a great way to negate really nasty things that can go off like Chaos Emperor and whatnot on your opponent's side, and at the same time he's also a 1-star tuner, so he can give you some interesting options there that a 2-star might not necessarily be able to. So, he did make the cut. You can certainly sub him or Caius or whoever you want for something else, but this is what I went with. And like I say, it served me well. That's all the monsters. Graceful Charity. Pot of Greed. Don't often get to say those 2 in a deck list. An amazing card for almost any deck, but especially for this deck. Painful Choice. It's an instant Judgment Dragon by picking 5 different named Lightsworns from your deck. It can also be used to bury lots of stuff like Plague, Necro, Demok, etc. Just an amazing card almost always to have in your hand. I've even Demok for it once or twice, and that was also good. Charge of the Light Brigade. And I go ahead and I run full 3 copies of Solar Recharge, and believe it or not only was it not too many in my hand, but sometimes I actually found myself wanting it when it wasn't in hand. So, not bad at all. I did run Card Destruction. It's a great way to flush a bad hand if you get some stuff that doesn't really fit, like too many wolves or something like that. This card can be it's just another good way to bury things from your hand into the grave, and at the same time get new options, better options. So, that's why I made the cut. Delinquent Duo, just one of the best cards you can have on the first turn of the game, period. It's why you want to go first. Blowing away basically a third of your opponent's starting hand if you count that 6th card they're going to draw. It's phenomenal. And Forceful Sentry is good at many times, and also good because he doesn't put it in the grave where it can be potentially useful later. And of course also it lets you search. A ridiculously good way to get rid of things in their hand. Foolish Burial, duh reasons on that. Monster Reborn, still probably the best reanimation card in the game. That's debatable, but probably is the best straight up reanimation. Premature Burial, probably the 2nd best. Monster Reincarnation, because let's face it, you're going to want to reincarnate sometimes, so it's a good way to go to get it, and once again, bury stuff. Snatch Steal, good for sinking, and of course in this format can also give you the extra monster and removal simultaneously to just straight up kill him. Change of Heart, that pretty much speaks for itself. Harpy's Feather Duster to make sure your stuff goes off. Heavy Storm for the same reason. Dark Hole can blow away your own stuff and of course simultaneously blow away your opponent's. I also, to be honest, I almost never played Traditional, so I didn't actually have a Raigeki. You can definitely run Raigeki in its place in this deck since you don't run Witcher Sangan. But yeah, Dark Hole was in my build. Ring of Destruction, duh. And Imperial Order, another great card to have in the opening hand for like the first turn of the game. Just set that, and when your opponent tries to do all their Pot of Greed nonsense, you can make them waste it. Really obvious on this one. And that's the whole main deck. The extra deck is somewhat debatable, but mostly pretty much straight up. Scrap Dragon, generic materials, he has point removal on 8 stars, and he's still huge, so excellent card there. I actually do run 2 copies of Stardust Dragon, and the main reason of that is I was running 2 copies of Starlight Road in my side deck, so that's why they were in here. You will sink for it occasionally too, though. Colossal Fighter. Infernity Doom, because you can run your hand out theoretically in this deck, and you can also set a bunch of cards to make it into hand. Thought Ruler, because there's a lot of stuff that targets in that format. Black Rose. Dark Strike, an amazing 7-star target, and you can hit 7 pretty easily because you do have Celestia. Goyo Guardian. Bryanak, it's amazing how staples stay staples between formats in the extra deck. And Ally of Justice Catastor. That's 11 Synchro monsters in your extra deck. You only run 4 targets for Cyberstein. Your number 1 target, 9 times out of 10, Cyber Twin. This guy attacks twice, he's 2,800, 5,600 damage. Right there, all by himself, 1 card. That's more than you paid for the Cyberstein. And the Cyberstein was a ridiculous cost at 5,000. And don't forget to calculate in that 700 from Cyberstein, so it's really 6,300 damage on this guy. Phenomenal. If you've cleaned their field, this guy out of your Stein usually means game. That's why Stein usually kills, in fact. Also, Cyber End. It doesn't often come up, but there are occasions when End is better. If you're up against somebody with some kind of, like you might fear Collude or something, theoretically, if you're playing against Blackwings in Traditional for some reason, or if you have to go through a set monster for some reason, he can be a valid choice, so it's good to have him. Destiny and Dragoon, because he blows things away and deals damage equal to their attack. He's 3,000, 3,000. He's not your ideal target, but he's definitely a good alternative, and he can fire off every turn and do it, so he can be rather phenomenal. He has his moments. Definitely worthy of consideration here where you're not actually fusing for him. And last but not least, Thousand Eyes Restrict. You'll almost never use him versus the other 3 alternatives, but if the occasion arises, you should never neglect how awesome his ability is, and he can be a good last-ditch effort with Cyberstein when you're long on life points but low on resources. This guy can theoretically stall you for several turns, so he's a good alternative. Alright, there you have it. And that is my little Twilight Lightsworn Traditional deck. I went 4-0 with this. So, anyway, until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy.